Hi, I'm Robert Lisac, and this channel is all about being safe, fit and prepared like a modern-day samurai. And today I want to talk about what's the real difference between martial arts and combat sports. So, in order to understand the difference, I suggest that we define what makes a sport a sport. So, because if we know which three main ingredients determine what a sport is, we also know what a combat sport is. And then we can compare these components to the martial arts. So, the first component which every sport has, every combat sport has, is movement. So, do we have movement in combat sports? Of course we have. We have kicks, we have throws, and so on. But we have also movement in martial arts. But the purpose of those movements in martial arts is different than those of combat sports. In combat sports, we want to be winners, we want to get some points, we want to execute a throw and just be the winner. In in martial arts, the purpose is completely different. Because we have to know that martial arts derived from the battlefield, and there they wanted to cripple the opponent or to kill him. This was 100 years ago, 200 years ago, and so on. So, in both segments, as well as in combat sports, as well as in martial arts, we have movement. This is very similar, although the purposes here are different. Then, the second component of every sport is that there are some rules. Because I was competing in Judo when I was much younger, and it was very clear what was allowed and what was not allowed, which throws were allowed, which weren't allowed. So every sport, every combat sport like wrestling, boxing, judo, and so on, has its own set of rules. I'm often very sarcastic when I talk about rules in martial arts. I'm telling my students that there are actually two rules. As I said, it's sarcastic. The first rule, there are no rules, and although there are no rules, the second rule is win. So we see that these rules in combat sports are enforced by the rules and by the judge, and it's clear what everyone has to do. And when the stuff that happens on the mat or in the ring or in the cage is getting too tough or too brutal, the referee can stop everything. But it's not so on the battlefield, because there the winner decides when the fight is over. So we see that the rules are treated very different in both spheres. So the third component here is, let me think, competition. Every combat sport has its competitions. So, because we want to know who's the best judoka, who's the best wrestler, who's the best boxer, there are competitions. We can't say that martial arts like Krav Maga, or which do we also have? Everything that is Japanese and has jitsu at the end, for instance, Ninjutsu hasn't got championships. Or, and therefore, because you can't really check out who's the master in, squeezing someone's throat or eye gouging or, this kind of stuff which were commonly used in martial arts. So we see that there are similarities, but there are also big differences. And if we know the differences, we know what we can treat as a martial art and what we can treat as a combat sport. So as I said, for instance, judo is a combat sport, wrestling is a combat sport, Olympic Taekwondo is a combat sport, and martial arts, everything with Jitsu, from Ninjutsu, Jiu-Jitsu, and so on, is often treated, and also, for instance, Krav Maga and other stuff like this is treated as a martial arts, or more as a martial arts, because there are also some variations which can be somehow also martial arts and combat sports. So, and here are the final thoughts, because there is also a difference how the techniques are perceived from the outside. If you check out how the martial arts are looking like, these are nice movements. They look smooth. They are looking, in a way, aesthetic. But in combat sports, the movements aren't really nice looking. They aren't smooth. They are not for movies. They are rough, but they are functioning on the battlefield or in real situations. But a lot of martial arts got into the trap that they are not practicing their stuff because it's so deadly against a resisting opponent. And this is the reason, in my opinion, why that are some sportsmen which are training combat sports on the street often much more functional and damaging to the opponent than practitioners of martial arts. It's not always like that, but because the sportsmen are used to train and fight against an opponent who is resisting. What can the martial arts world take from this is that they apply the same training principles to their martial arts, and then everything is fine. Of course, this definition, for me, what are martial arts and what is a combat sport, or what combat sports are, is a definition which I was analyzing from a sports points of view. You can divide martial arts and combat sports in many different ways. This was my way to set the difference between one and the other. This is it. Check out my other videos. See you in the next video. Bye.